What are your assets and liabilities? This is key to know if you want to grow. Maybe I should try bars. Then I would join the stars. That aside, Rich Dad gave us a helpful definition. He said, assets put money in your pocket, while liabilities take money out of your pocket. I bought investments in the past thinking they were assets. Imagine my surprise when they depreciated in value, taking money out of my pocket. I've saved money in a bank account thinking it was an asset. Imagine my surprise when I saw my bank balance go lower and lower every month due to expenses. Reviewing your numbers will tell you the truth about whether something is an asset or truly it's a liability. In today's video, I'll go over my template that I use to track assets and liabilities. Check the description below for access to the template and other helpful resources. Stick around for a special announcement at the end, and please bless the like button if you find this video helpful. Like this. Let's dive in. First thing you see when you get into this sheet is a guide. At the very top you see what it includes. So the allocations answers the questions: what are my assets and liability allocations, and what is my net worth? Investments answer the question: what are my investments worth? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Savings show how much savings do I have and where. Liabilities, how much debt do I owe and how much have I paid off. Tooltips look like this, so you can hover over something and then the tooltips will come out. And then where you see this shade of blue, this indicates it's an input field and your input is needed over there. So let's start with the liabilities, then we'll go to the savings, investments, and allocations. At the very top here, we see the total amount borrowed. This is the total debt, 1.4 million that D has borrowed. And over here, we see the main debt or liability categories. It has a credit card, real estate loan, SACCO loan, family, friends, and the total amount. So this is the biggest amount, and on to the right you can see it accounts for 99.3% of his debts, and then credit card takes up slightly less than 1%. He's paid off this amount so far out of his real estate loans, and he hasn't paid any of his credit card debts. In terms of tracking, this is where the tracking happens at the bottom. He got his credit card on this date. So far, the last time he checked, he borrowed this amount and he hasn't paid any amount. He's had his credit card for 12 months. The second item D borrowed for is a studio apartment worth 1.8 million. He borrowed a loan of 1.44 million, and so far this is the current value, 1.392. So this means that he's been able to pay 3.33%, which amounts to 48,000 on his real estate loan. This part is what lets the sums come up over here. So if he needed to put anything else, he would just select from the options that are here, and they'd automatically pick up here. If he has other categories like borrowing from chamas, microfinance institutions, mobile, then he'd list those different sources here. On this side, we have a space that lets him think about the monthly expense he incurs due to using a particular debt source. Currently, he pays his credit cards every month without fail, so the monthly expense is 0. He managed to get a loan for the studio apartment at 0% interest, so the extra costs or the monthly cost is 0. He doesn't have a SACCO loan at the moment. If he had a 5% charge on this real estate loan, This would be the annual costs, and if he did that, he would see that he has an expense of 5,800 every month going out of his pocket because of this 5% real estate loan. In his case, it's a 0% loan, so he doesn't need to indicate that. That's it for this one. The next sheet is savings. This is very similar to the liabilities one. So we have the key categories here. He doesn't have anything in his Chama. He has some money in his bank account. Doesn't have any savings with family members or retirement fund. He has some money in a mutual fund. No fixed deposits, but he has some money in his wallets. And he has some money in a card. Over this side, we see the share of different savings that he has and whether those savings accounts have made any profits or losses. So far, it looks like things are going good for him. In terms of tracking, it's the same thing. So this is where he indicates the individual account. In 2019, he set up a mutual fund, and so far, this is the amount saved there. Then he has a bank account with NCBA that he's had for 21 months. So this is something he started in 2020, and the latest value is this. There has been a little bit of interest. SACCO, he has a front office savings account at his SACCO, and this is how much is there. This is one of the things he's categorized as a wallet instead of a bank account. Another wallet he has is a mobile wallet, Mshwari, and that's the amount he has over there, and the interest that he's been able to get on his savings. He's got a prepaid card that he has a little bit of money on, no interest on that card. And then he also has some funds in PayPal, which he considers a wallet. And because of the change in currency exchange, he's managed to get a slight profit of 0.9% so far. That's it for this one. So at the very top, this shows that he has 240,000 saved across all his different savings accounts. He could also do the exercise of tracking how much net income he gets from each of these accounts, just to give him a sense of which savings accounts are actually putting money in his pocket. But generally, money that is being saved doesn't bring in as much additional interest compared to investment. Next, we have the investments tab. And again, we have the different investment categories. Doesn't have any money in a business, has some money invested in real estate, doesn't have anything in royalties, some money in a money market fund, some money in a SACCO, some money in bonds, nothing in bills, some money in shares, and nothing in an investment fund. You can customize this, but these are what D has. Over here is the total amount invested in each of these accounts, the proportion of his total portfolio that they account for, and whether they've made a loss and how much. So far, he's made a loss on shares. If he was to dispose or sell the shares that he currently has, but he's made some gains in the money market front. And this is just a chart showing how much each of the different accounts contribute to his portfolio. On the very far left, he's been able to indicate how much. So he's getting about a 9% interest per year on the money he's invested in the money market fund. So that's about 2,900 every month. That's his net income. And he has something similar for the SACCO, and he gets about 500 every month for his investment in bonds. So his income is approximately 5,000 from the investments that he's made. Total money invested is 1.1 million, about that. And let's see what he actually has. In 2015, he invested in a iRights, and he exited this iRight in 2018. He invested 20k, got out at 10k. That was about 48% loss. And just to make sure that this is no longer counted in his portfolio after disposing, he doesn't indicate any asset class there. That's something that you can do. So the other ones, he has some money in a Sacco that he started in 2019. The current value is this, and this is, he selected Sacco just to make sure that it picks up in the correct category. He has some money in a bond, which is similar, and then he has some money in shares, quite a number of bank shares. So for example, over here, he bought 100 shares of KCB when each share was 47, and the cost of the transaction was 4,800. And right now, the current value of these 100 shares are 3,670. So if he was going to sell these shares, he would go at a loss of about 23%. And this comes from a handy sidebar at the top, which shows KCB and the current market price, and lets him see what the current market price of shares he's interested in is. So for example, if you type a code like equity, this pops up, so you can see the price of equity shares according to the latest data is 39 shillings. And if he had 100 shares, then he'll be able to track that. So this is a handy tool just to let him know the current market price for the shares he's invested in. He also has some money in a money market fund, which is the most successful one so far at 15% profit. And he has some money in a fixed income fund, and he recently invested in a studio apartment, investing 408,000 so far. And this is what is represented over here. Yeah, total investments 12, which are noted. Total value of the investments is 1.1 million, and so far he's generating 5,041. Those are the things that are actually assets at this point. And hopefully, I mean, he could also indicate how much dividends he gets as a percentage of the shares to make a more accurate picture. And real estate, if he's getting any income from the real estate, then he can also indicate it as a percentage to see how well his investments are putting money in his pocket. Now for the net worth part, the allocations. So on this side, we see assets, 9 items, totaling 1.36 million. He has real estate, money market fund, Sacco, mutual fund. These are things that came from the investments sheet and the savings sheet. How much money is there and what proportion of his total portfolio they make up. On this side, just as in the other sheets, he can indicate how much he's getting from the investments and savings. So 0 from real estate, 9% from money market fund, and so on and so forth. So this is telling him, is this thing actually an asset or not? For example, this card isn't an asset, doesn't put money in his pockets. On this other side, he has liabilities, 2 of them. So he has a credit card and real estate loan. So these are more accurately debts. They could be liabilities if they actually take money out of his pocket, like if he takes a 12% Sacco loan. But for what he has here, these says that they don't take money out of his pocket so far. On this other side, we see his net worth is negative at the moment. So this is investments plus savings 1.3 million minus the debts or liabilities, that's 1.4. So he's slightly in the negative. He has a goal to get to a 2 million investments plus savings from 1.3. So the gap is 630. This is what he's working towards for this year. And then this last part shows the liquid assets in case of an emergency. What accounts is he able to quickly convert into cash? And let's see what they are. So his money market fund is one that's easy for him to convert to cash. He can quickly sell, hopefully, the shares. He has money in his wallet and money in his card, which he can use. And he also has a bank account, which should be included over here. Final chart shows the asset allocation. The bulk of his portfolio is in real estate and money market fund, followed by SACO, mutual fund, and other items. And yeah, this is what he's using to track his investment savings, debts or liabilities, and his net worth. This is a demo, like I said in the beginning. This is how the template looks like. It's very similar. We have a guide and we have this allocations tab with just a little bit of sample data. So this is what you edit, the part in blue and this part in blue, to develop awareness on what's actually taking money out of your pocket and what's putting money into your pocket. You can set yourself a goal over here and indicate what are your liquid assets so far. Then in the investments column, we have some sample categories which you can modify. And this is where you actually put in your data. So this is some sample data which you can edit. Just make sure that you select the correct category so that it can populate over here. And all this data will be picked by the allocations sheet. If you have certain shares which you're tracking, then you could just add them here and the market price will show up. That's something that you might find handy. Savings, similar. We have some sample categories over here which you can edit to suit your needs. Track your actual savings accounts down here. Put in the date that you open the account, how much money you put in, and the latest value. And then liabilities, the same thing. You can customize the categories over here, then track your data over here. One limitation is that when you set up your accounts over here, then you keep on maintaining them. So you don't have a history. The history is in the number. So for example, if D put in an extra 10,000 today, he would just add 10,000 to what he's invested and then come here and select a different date or the current date that he made this investment. So that's one thing. Then another thing is I recommend adding new rows at the top. So next row over here, next row over here. And if you need to insert new rows, just do that and put in your new item. This would help you have the latest investments at the top. So you can always see the history of, oh, the first time that I invested was in this year and it was this particular investment. And the latest one is the one at the top, and you can see how much you have over there. That's it for the allocations. You'll automatically have the totals come up over here, and for the investments plus savings and the debts on this side, and then you'll have a chart showing where most of your wealth is. Thank you for staying till the end. This marks the last of the top 5 trackers that I've been using since 2016 for my personal finances. Check the description box below for access to this template or some other helpful resources. I'll add a link up here to a card with a playlist for all the videos. Please blast the like button if you found this video helpful. Also, let me know what thoughts or questions you have about this topic in the comments below. If you made it this far, here's a special announcement. I'll be opening up a few consultation slots if you want help with any of the topics I've discussed on this personal finance playlist or any of the trackers shared. If you need help customizing it or getting set up, then just simply send me an email at support@evansmusomi.com and we can take it from there. May we have the wisdom to increase our assets and reduce our liabilities financially and in all other areas of our lives. Well, it's not just about money, you know. Till next time, grow the goods.